Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you again from Film Fanatic headquarters. It's about 10:26. So yeah, this is a kind of a specialty video. It's not a review per se video like I've been doing. I I've been changing up a little bit of the format. I haven't been doing the videos every day, but I've been back the last 2 or 3 weeks. It was it was pretty hard for a week and a half or so. I was out of town. So I kind of had to take a break from doing videos. And then lately I've been going back to trying to keep a regular schedule. But I haven't been, in the past, I do pretty much do a show every morning. But now I'm kind of breaking it up a little bit. I try to, what I usually do is I try to watch, when I watch a new movie or watch a movie especially if a movie that I bought, whether it's something I have never seen before, or or it's something an old school movie that that I had seen when I was a kid, and I buy it on Blu-ray. I I usually center and try to do the videos on movies that I just watched. Usually because I feel like it's still fresh, and I can kind of I my reaction to it is still I'm still thinking about it. So most of the videos I've been doing have been centered on that kind of experience. And then I was doing a lot of videos of movies that I just own in my collection. I kind of bounce back and forth, but mainly I do the videos in that context of like something I just bought or that I just watched. I've been buying a lot of movies this past year or this year, so I've been, it's been really awesome. And I have a couple of new movies that I'm going to be doing shows on very soon. I just did a big show on Flash Gordon, which I bought on Sunday, or I should say Saturday. I was up in Waterville, the Bull Moose in Waterville, and I was kind of blown away. They've redone the whole movie section there, and I was really excited. So and they had so many more titles, like so many more titles. It had been a while since I'd been there. It was getting kind of dismal going there as far as their selection when it comes to like the movies that I really try to seek out. All the movies that are a part of the exploitation world. So it was getting pretty dismal, but I had not been there in quite some time, and I was really impressed, really blown away. So there'll be a few more shows coming up around those movies. But today's show is going to be about two movies that I'm three movies that I'm really excited about seeing in the theater. One in particular that I am definitely going to go see. Last night I was going to go see the new Nicolas Cage movie, Long Legs. I've heard a lot of things about it. Um, it's interesting. I'm a huge Nicolas Cage fan. I've always been. I have, been following his career forever. The first movie I ever saw with Nicolas Cage was Wild at Heart, starring Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern, directed by the iconic David Lynch. That was the first movie I ever saw with Nicolas Cage, and I remember that movie. When I first saw that movie, I was really young. I think I was in high school or middle school, and I think I probably saw it on like HBO back when people had regular cable. Years before the streaming world that we live in now. And I had HBO growing up. We had cable, and I pretty sure it was the first Nicolas Cage movie that I saw, and that movie just uh, blew me away, blew my just and it terrified me. It's a super intense movie, super violent. That movie really was I don't know. It was such a riveting experience when I saw that as a kid. I had never seen anything like it before. And since then, Nicolas Cage has like gone on to make so many great films. Raising Arizona. He's capable of doing all kinds of work. He also, I think he gets beaten up unnecessarily by the press and people by saying, well, he's not the top billing star that he used to be, so he makes all these low budget movies because he lost a lot of his star power. I don't really think that's true. I think he does whatever he wants to do because he's Nicolas Cage, and he's I mean he's an actor that has achieved everything that an actor could or would want to achieve in their career. Winning the Academy Award, being nominated for everything, being nominated numerous times, being in the biggest blockbuster movies that you can imagine, making incredible amounts of money, but then also doing these really low budget, kind of gritty movies. Taking the chance, taking all kinds of chances, taking all kinds of risks, and I think he's arrived as he's gotten older to a place of where he's Nick Cage, and he can do whatever the fuck he wants to do. He doesn't care, and he'll do whatever he's interested in. And I think that's what he has. That's where he has, um, you know, that's the place he's arrived to. And so many great movies to his credit, but I maintain, and I said this in another video. I think I said it in a video yesterday, actually. Um, my two favorite Nicolas Cage movies is Mandy, which came out a few years back. That movie's an utter masterpiece. And in another movie he did shortly about 2 years ago, I believe, this movie called Pig, and which no one has ever seen. I don't know anybody who's seen that movie. Mandy is still not given the credibility it deserves. So, but those two movies are just absolute masterpieces, and they're as different from each other than as possible. And it shows that the true talent of what he has as an actor. I was going to go see Longlegs, his new movie, last night, but some things came up and I wasn't able to go. I do want to see it. I've heard mixed things about it. I've heard it's very good in a lot of ways. I've heard, and again, it is what it is. People have their opinions, and I see little snippets of reviews. I've seen little bits of the trailer, or I have seen the trailers. I love Nicolas Cage. I think he is one of those actors that can be in a movie that's not very good, but he is usually spectacular in that film. He's just got that presence. Um, I've heard mainly good things, and I've heard some really mixed things about it for Longlegs. But I do want to see it. I almost saw it last night, but things kind of changed, and so I didn't end up going to see it. I do want to see it, but we'll see what happens. And that movie, Longlegs, was a movie that I did not really know about until really really recently. That movie has had an incredible campaign as far as marketing. So they have done a pretty master filmmakers for Longlegs have done a pretty masterful job around building this movie up. So we'll see, but I do want to see it. But the movie that I am the most anticipated, the two movies that I have been the most anticipated, or that have been at the top of my list. One movie I did see, and I was just blown away by it, and that is Maxine, the last Ty West film, the stunning conclusion to the amazing franchise that he has created over the last few years. An amazing film, so fantastic. I did a show on that last week, and it's been up. One of the trailers that I saw, and I did see the trailer for Alien Romulus about, well, it was probably last month. The first trailer dropped. Alien Romulus, directed by Fede Alvarez, that came out, and I was kind of blown away. Kind of blown away. It was a movie that I heard about. I first heard about Alien Romulus a while ago, that it was going to be this another Alien movie, and when I first heard that, I was so not interested. I didn't care because I don't really like the other Alien movies really at all. As a franchise, I think they have driven that franchise so far into the ground and so far into the crapper that it tarnishes what could have been a great legacy. You know, you have the original masterpiece by Ridley Scott, the incredible follow up, one of probably the greatest sequel, if not the greatest sequel to a classic film outside of say Godfather 2. What seeing what James Cameron did with Aliens, those two movies are just utter masterpieces in every possible way. And then you have all of these other films that came out after that. Alien 3, which is interesting to a degree because it has some moments that are kind of cool and somewhat worth watching just because it was the debut, the first film by David Fincher, who is one of my favorite directors. He had no real creative control over that movie, but you do have glimpses of something really cool, very unique, and you do, to a degree, can see his like genius or his potential as a filmmaker in that movie. Even though that movie is kind of a total train wreck, there's things about that movie that are kind of interesting. Elliot Goldenthal, who did the music for that film, that is the film score for that movie is just utterly breathtaking. It's one of my favorite film scores ever made. I think it's one of the most important film scores ever made for a film, and I think it's one of the most underrated. But the movie itself is kind of a piece of shit. Again, it does have some things about it that are kind of interesting. And then you know, there's been Alien Resurrection, which came out, which is an unwatchable dumpster fire of a movie. The movie is just such an atrocity. And then Ridley Scott kind of got back involved with the franchise with Prometheus, which came out quite a few years ago now, and then Alien Covenant. And Prometheus, there's aspects of that movie that I kind of find interesting, and I've had really mixed reactions to that movie. It's really weird. Overall, I think that movie is kind of a big mess and a pretty serious misfire. It does have some interesting things that, as a movie and as a I don't know, to a degree, an origin story, it it does have some interesting things that are brought to the table. Interesting concepts, something, and it does have some unique things about it and new things, some somewhat fresh things. But as a story, and I think because after all, it is about the. It's supposed to be a prequel to Alien. The about how the xenomorph was essentially created, and the origins of the space jockey. When they discover this alien craft in the first Alien movie. It's supposed to be about that film and an origin story. And if you look at it as just a movie, it's okay. It's all right. But again, it's so. And pertaining to the story, I feel like not only aesthetically is it totally off the off the radar in comparison, I think the story is really off the mark. There isn't really a cohesive thing. It leaves you with more questions, and it just doesn't make comprehensive sense in the storyline. And part of me really thinks that movie is just utterly, kind of dismissible. It's got some qualities to it. I can't fully dismiss it. I have it on DVD, and I've seen it. I've seen it It's funny, as many problems as I have with that movie, I've seen it quite a few times. It was, in all honesty, it was a movie that I really wanted to like. I really wanted to love. But again, there's so many things about it that just I feel where it just goes wrong. And when I think about certain movies that where I was, obviously so into the franchise that I was like, you know, when it was announced that these films were coming out, one example, another example for me was Star Wars when the Phantom Menace was announced. Being a huge Star Wars fan as a kid, and I still am, even though it's really diminished. I I went into Phantom Menace, and in the same thing with Prometheus. I went into those movies. They were the most anticipated things that I've ever experienced as far as a movie, and I was like kind of mentally convincing myself before I saw both of those movies that they're going to be amazing. They're going to be classic because it was just like, oh, there's no way this movie's going to be terrible. These movies are going to be terrible. And when I actually saw them and the end result, it was just kind of awful, kind of awful. I've never really had that experience before where I was like going into a movie because it was part of this big gigantic universe, kind of mentally convincing myself, oh, this is going to be awesome. And then you see it and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, this is kind of awful. But then part of you is still hanging on to it, and you end up seeing a movie a bunch of times after. Like that happened with Phantom Menace. I was so utterly disappointed with that movie and so like dumbfounded, and I was like, no, I gotta see it again. I think maybe I was in a bad mood, and I remember I've seen as bad as I think that movie is, Star Wars Phantom Menace, the first of the prequels. I've seen that movie so many times, giving it a chance, and it each time, um, I can't comprehend what's going on, and I finally have like it's been years since I've seen it, and finally I've arrived at a place where I've just utterly dismissed that movie, and I can't waste my time anymore. Same kind of thing around Prometheus. Although I think Prometheus has some qualities about it that are better, that's not saying much. So, Alien Covenant is just a complete and utter disaster of a movie. I think that movie is just not even worth really talking about. I saw that in the theater and I was so disappointed with that. I was somewhat excited about seeing it, but thinking that okay, this is going to be an alien movie, so um, this everything will be dialed in a little bit better. Everything will be turned up a little bit more. Not really, not the case, not the case at all. So fast forward a few years, and then when I heard that Alien Romulus was going to be this new Alien movie, I had no interest at all. When I first heard that, I'm just like, what? Jesus Christ, like, just give it a break. But then when I saw that Fede Alvarez was attached, I kind of got interested. I love Fede Alvarez. I think he's one of the best horror directors around. Don't Breathe, the Evil Dead remake. Those movies are, Fede Alvarez has only directed about three movies. He did a movie that was a part of the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo movie franchise, which I heard is not very good, and I have not seen it. But um, I'm a huge fan of his other movies, and granted, it's like two movies to his career, but I think he is a super powerhouse. So when I saw that he was attached to it, I was like, oh my god, okay. And then I saw the trailer, and I was like, wow, this looks a return to form. And like a combination of the first two Alien movies, but yet I think it will be something uh, different and unique, but definitely in that universe. It had that vibe, you know, some serious action, but it was going to be a more of a horror film. And I saw the trailer for Alien Romulus in the theater, and that was breathtaking, breathtaking. So I'm very excited about that. That comes out August 14th in a couple weeks. That I am. That's the most anticipated movie for me. Um, the other movie I'm really excited about is the new Deadpool and Wolverine movie. I have been really sick and tired of a lot of. I'm a huge comic book fan and nerd, and I love a lot of the Marvel movies and some of the DC movies, especially Marvel. But I have had some serious fatigue, and I have not really liked any of the newer films that have come out in the last year or 2 years. Really, utterly disappointed. I am super excited for this new Deadpool movie. I think it looks amazing. So that's coming out, I believe, in August. So we'll see what happens. But definitely Alien Romulus. Maxine and Alien Romulus were the two movies that I was the most excited about. And I think it's funny to say, I feel like Alien Romulus is a little bit higher up on that list. But so I can't wait. Can't wait to see it. Hopefully it doesn't suck and it's not a shit show. And but today's show I just wanted to talk about movies that I'm excited about. The next movie I'm very excited about, really excited about, but that doesn't come out till Christmas time, is the new Robert Eggers movie, which is Nosferatu. That's coming out on like Christmas Day or something, which is totally hilarious and kind of awesome. Not a summertime movie, but those three movies I am really excited about seeing, especially Alien Romulus. So we'll see. So thanks again, and we will see you next time. Peace.